After finishing school some days ago, in the meantime, I was part of a gap year program. I was part of a gap year program and I served in a local church. And this local church, they didn't had a lot of kids and youth program. They just had a very small Sunday school, and they asked me to come and serve 1 year there, in a year between school and before studies, and I helped them to bring up some kids ministry and youth ministry. And so I spent 1 year there. And after some time, we had three different kids clubs, and we had two different youth groups, and we even had a group for young adults. And even after some time, we found someone who can come for next gap year. When my gap year came to an end, and even we found some volunteers, and things were going quite well. And one day, when my gap year, my program was about to finish, in one of my last months, in one of our planning and praying meetings with the pastor there, the pastor said, Marcus, when I look at the programs you started, I see a good development. I see even your involvement, and I see your passion, and I see how much you invested there. And I see that you invested yourself and your resources, and all of this is very good. But Marcus, I have one question. I have one question for you. What does it mean to you if people don't know Jesus? Do you realize that if they don't know Jesus, then they are lost? Sorry. Um, do you realize that if they don't know Jesus, then they are lost? Do you have passion for them? Do you have passion for the ones who don't know God? Do you really care that if they die today and they don't know Jesus, they will be in a place where there's no God and nothing godly, which means no hope, no light, no love, no compassion, no forgiveness, nothing like this. What does this make with you, Marcus? How does this impact you? So, in short, what he said is, Marcus, what you do is good, but where's your heart? Where's your heart? Is your heart really involved, or do you just do good and right things? Or maybe you could even say, is your passion about others, or is your passion maybe about yourself? I don't know if you were asked this question as well one day, or if you ask yourself this question one day. Why are you here? Are you here because you're used to being here? Even today, it's church here. Or are you here because people expect you to be here? Because your mother, your father, your auntie says, come. All of this is not bad. It's not bad to be here. But the question is, where's your heart? Not just going to church, maybe even we are just offering, giving to church. No, why are you giving to church? Did you give an offering or even a tithe today? Did you do it because you are used to do it, which is nothing bad? Did you do it because as a member you even promised to do it, which is also not bad? Did you do it because people expect you to do it? All of this isn't bad. But the question is, where's your heart? Not just giving to church and coming to church, but maybe even serving in church. Do you serve here at BCC? Maybe you were even part yesterday of the outreach. We served the street kids here in Lusaka. We gave some of our money as church for our church tithe and gave it to Nzanza and helped them to serve the street kids. They're doing a great job. Maybe you were part of it yesterday. Maybe you're part of the praise team. Maybe you're part of the Sunday school teachers. Maybe you're an usher. Maybe you're part of cleaning this church. Maybe you're serving at the library or in the kids club or in one of these programs. So why do you do it? Do you do it because you're used to? Do you do it because as a member of this church you even promise that you will invest in one or two ministries? Do you do it because people expect you to do it? All of this, again, that's not bad. But the question is, where's your heart? And maybe you're even wondering, why should be there difference? If I do it, if I come to church, you see me. If I give to church, you can pay things. You can even start one day paying your pastor. If I start serving here, you can even, you can run all these programs. So, is there a difference if I do it or I do it full-heartedly? Where's the difference? We are still in our series, Moses into the Unknown. And today, we are the portion of scripture which will maybe help us to see the difference between doing it and doing it full-heartedly. And we will see some results in this way and that way. Unfortunately, the text today is a bit long. We are talking about 3 chapters and even some information after the 3 chapters. So it's a bit long. My wife was joking and said, no, if you don't know what to say today, you can just read the scripture. It's 20 minutes. You're fine. You just put it together again and, the sermon is over. You are fine. So what I will do, I will just read out loud some of the portions and I will summarize other parts. But maybe in your own time, if you want, you can read the whole story in Numbers 22 to 24. Numbers 22 to 24. And when you were here last week, Baron was standing and was preaching about the bronze snake in Numbers 21. So we're actually more or less directly after 21, Numbers 21, we are now in Numbers 22. After the story we had last year, the Israelites remained in the desert and they were about to enter the promised land. They just moved a bit and then they came to the Jordan River somewhere there. And there were other people as well. Actually, there were the Moabites. And when the people of Moab saw how many Israelites there were, they were terrified. And so the Moabites made up an alliance with the Midianites and planned to hammer these foreigners. And from there, I will read in Numbers 22, the verses 4 to 20. The king of Moab said to the elders of Midian, this mob will devour everything in sight, like an ox devours grass in the field. So Balak, the king of Moab, sent messengers to call Balaam, son of Beor, who was living in his native land of Petor near the Euphrates rivers. His message said, look, a vast horde of people has arrived from Egypt. They cover the face of the earth and are threatening me. Please come and curse these people for me, because they are too powerful for me. Then perhaps I will be able to conquer them and drive them from the land. I know that blessings fall on any people you bless, and curses fall on people you curse. Balak's messengers, who were elders of Moab and Midian, set out with money to pay Balaam to place a curse upon Israel. They went to Balaam and delivered Balak's message to him. Stay here overnight, Balaam said. In the morning I will tell you what the Lord directs me to say. So the officials from Moab stayed there with Balaam. And that night God came to Balaam and asked him, who are these men visiting you? And Balaam said to God, Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me this message. Look, a vast horde of people has arrived from Egypt, and they cover the face of the earth. Come and curse these people for me. Then perhaps I will be able to stand up to them and drive them from the land. But God told Balaam, do not go with them. You are not to curse these people, for they have been blessed. The next morning, Balaam got up and told Balak's officials, go on home. The Lord will not let me go with you. So the Moabite officials returned to King Balak and reported, Balaam refused to come with us. Then Balak tried again. This time he sent a larger number of even more distinguished officials than those he had sent the first time. They went to Balaam and delivered his message to him. This is what Balak, son of Zippor, says. Please don't let anything stop you from coming to help me. I will pay you very well and do whatever you tell me. Just come and curse the people for me. But Balaam responded to Balak's messengers, even if Balak were to give me his palace filled with silver and gold, I would be powerless to do anything against the will of the Lord my God. But stay here one more night, and I will see if the Lord has anything else to say to me. And that night God came to Balaam and told him, since these men have come for you, get up and go with them, but do only what I tell you to do. And then after this, we skip a bit of the story, where the story of the talking donkey and whatever. And this would come another sermon from Numbers 22, 21 to 35. And we keep on reading from 35 to 23, verse 5. So Balaam went on with Balak's officials. When King Balak heard that Balaam was on the way, he went out to meet him at a Moabite town on the Arnon River at the farthest border of this land. Didn't I send you an urgent invitation? Why didn't you come right away? Balak asked Balaam. Didn't you believe me when I said I would reward you richly? And Balaam replied, look, now I have come, but I have no power to say whatever I want. I will speak only the message that God puts in my mouth. Then Balaam accompanied Balak to Kiriath Huzoth, where the king sacrificed the cattle and sheep. He sent portions of the meat to Balaam and the officials who were with him. The next morning, Balak took Balaam to the Bamoth Baal. From there he could see some of the people of Israel spread out below him. Then Balaam said to King Balak, build me 7 altars here, and prepare 7 young bulls and 7 rams for me to sacrifice. And Balak followed his instructions, and the 2 of them sacrificed a young bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, stand here by your burnt offerings, and I will go to see if the Lord will respond to me. Then I will tell you whatever he reveals to me. So Balaam went alone to the top of the bare hill, and God met him there. And Balaam said to him, I've prepared 7 altars and have sacrificed a young bull and a ram on each altar. And the Lord gave Balaam a message for King Balak. Then he said, go back to Balak and give him my message. And the same message, we skip it again. The same message is a huge blessing. He blessed the Israelites plentifully, and the story went on in Numbers 23, 11 to 17. Then King Balak demanded of Balaam, what have you done to me? I brought you to curse my enemies. Instead, you have blessed them. But Balaam replied, I will speak only the message that the Lord puts in my mouth. Then King Balak told him, come with me to another place. There you will see another part of the nations of Israel, but not all of them. Curse at least that many. So Balak took Balaam to the plateau of Sophraim on Pisgah Peak. He built 7 altars there and offered a young bull and a ram on each altar. And then Balaam said to the king, stand here by your burnt offering while I go over there to meet the Lord. And the Lord met Balaam and gave him a message. Then he said, go back to Balak and give him my message. So Balaam returned again and found the king standing beside his burnt offerings with all the officials of Moab. What did the Lord say? Balak asked eagerly. And Balaam again blessed the Israelites again. And the story goes on in 25 to 30. Then Balak said to Balaam, fine, but if you won't curse them, at least don't bless them. But Balaam replied to Balak, didn't I tell you that I can do only what the Lord tells me? Then King Balak said to Balaam, come, I will take you to one more place. Perhaps it will please God to let you curse them from there. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Mount Peor, overlooking the wasteland. And Balaam again told Balak, build me 7 altars and prepare 7 young bulls and 7 rams for me to sacrifice. So Balak did as Balaam ordered and offered a young bull and a ram on each of the altars. And there Balaam blessed them against, and then King Balak flew into a rage against Balaam. He angrily clapped his hands and shouted, I called you to curse my enemies. Instead, you have blessed them 3 times. Now get out of here. Go back home. I promise to reward you richly, but the Lord has kept you from your reward. And Balaam told Balak, don't you remember what I told your messengers? I said, even if Balak were to give me his palace filled with silver and gold, I would be powerless to do anything against the will of the Lord. I told you that I could say only what the Lord says. And then Balaam left and returned home, and Balak also went on his way. A long story where we see 2 men who were in the one way or the other connected to God. In the one way or the other, both of them trusted God. One of them was by the name of Balak, and the other by the name of Balaam. Balak invested a lot in his success. He invested a lot of resources that God blesses him. He sent his servants. He sent a lot of them from where today is just the border of Egypt up to where today is maybe Iraq. So they walked a long journey. They had maybe, they had camels with them, they had enough food with them, they had enough money to even go through the borders and give to the kings on the way, whatever he went there, and it took some time. Then they came back. He sent them again with the same amount of money, whatever, to come. So he invested a lot. He sent them to go to get God's blessings. So he invented money in their salaries. Then he was willing to invest a lot of silver and gold to convince Balaam as well. So he invested again a lot of money, or wanted to invest a lot of money, that Balaam can bless through God to his goals. He even spent days with Balaam to convince him. Then finally, he invested 3 times 7 bulls and 7 rams and 7 times stones to put up an altar. So, what we know for sure is Balak had a lot of money and he invested a lot of money. He invested a lot of money, a lot of livestock, a lot of salary, a lot of time. And all of this he invested because he knew God can bless and God can curse. And he invested all this money because he wanted God to bless his way. Balak invested a lot of time, manpower, money, livestock, in short, a lot of all his different available resources. He invested because he knew God can bless and God can curse. And he said, okay, let's do it. Let's invest my resources that God can bless or curse. God can bless my ways or can curse the ways of my opponents. And the result in the end was nil. Or actually, the result was worse than nothing. The result was actually that God did something he didn't like. So all of his resources were wasted in the end. All of Balak's resources he invested were just wasted. But why? Was it bad to invest resources into religious things? Is it bad to invest the resources to get connected to God? Is it bad to invest the resources to get blessed? First of all, again, not at all. But it's not about the resources themselves, it's about the heart behind. Balak's heart was to invest in his resources to win God for his path. So Balak invested a lot of his resources, of his money, of his time, of his livestock, of his things he had to force God to bless the ways Balak thought by himself. Yes, he invested a lot in God by time, by money, salaries, livestock, whatever he had. But in the end, he was not connected to God. In the end, he was not committed to God. In the end, his heart was not with God. So, what we can learn from him is you can invest a lot in offering, in church life, in a Christian lifestyle, in religious things without following God. As long as your heart is not with God's heart, whatever you invest is insane. This is what Balak did. But there was this other man, Balaam. What we know, Balaam was, in one way or the other, he was connected to God. He even called him Lord. He knew his name already. He looked for Yahweh's answers. In the morning, I will tell you whatever the Lord directs me to say. And even, you know, when God asked him, he answered, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me this message. And then he not just, responded to God, but he even answered. So now here we are. And he listened to God, and God said, Go on home. The Lord will not let me go with you. And then he used even God as an argument. Don't you remember what I told your messengers? I said, even if Balak were to give me his palace filled with silver and gold, I would be powerless to do anything against the will of the Lord. I told you that I could say only what the Lord says. And even in between, he was filled by the Spirit of God. Then the Spirit of God came upon him. But still, he didn't listen to God. God was about to kill him in between in the verses we skipped with the donkey. Again, we see, yes, Balaam invested. He invested a lot in God. He invested his time, his money, or the money he didn't get, actually, So even someone said, you will get this money if you do what I do. And say, no, 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 I don't take this money. So even this money kind of invested. He invested his salary, whatever he had. But he didn't invest his heart. Everything was insane. What we can learn from him again is you can invest a lot in offering, in church life, in a Christian lifestyle, and in religious things without following God. As long as your heart is not with God's heart, whatever you invest is insane. And maybe you are wondering how I can come to this result about Balaam. So let's read ahead. In Numbers 25, it's written that after Balak stopped to curse the Israelites, they started adultery with the Moabites, with the Moabite women at Mount Peor. And then in Numbers 31, verse 16, it's written, These are the very ones who followed Balaam's advice and caused the people of Israel to rebel against the Lord at Mount Peor. And because of this, all five of the Midianite kings, Evi, Rechem, Sur, Hur, and Reba, died in the battle. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. This is about what the Israelites did afterwards. So we see these men, or in this case, Balaam, his heart was not connected to God. What he did actually, when he realized God is not blessing through me in the way I want to do it, that I can get all this money. And he said, okay, I had to go. He said, hey, guy, Balak, I have one last idea. What you can do is, there's no way that God will curse them. There's no way that he will do this. And because of this, I can't do anything. But, whenever they don't follow God, then, they will be under God's curse. So, what you can do, Bring all your most beautiful women you have and send them to them. And then they will start adultery with them. And then God will curse them. And then you will get the blessing you are asking for. So what did Balaam do? Did he really follow God and what he said? He didn't. Yes, he didn't speak out these words because what he was able to say was just things from God. But still his heart was not there. When he realized I can't say anything else, he thought about another way to get these blessings to help his friend. So God tells Balaam from the beginning that the Israelites are blessed. But still from the beginning, Balaam tried to curse them again and again. Even when he knew, God said, no, they are blessed. Balak invested a lot of time, money, and so on in cursing the Israelites. And Balaam invested a lot of time as well. Balak always talked about honor and money. And Balak, in the end, even asked Balaam to be neutral. But Balaam, even Balaam was connected to the Spirit of God in this time. This was a special thing. Remember, we are in the Old Testament, long time before Pentecost. Balak even blames God since he kept Balaam from honoring. And in the end, Balaam brings in a way of cursing which comes with God's curse, but through human adultery. So again, what we see, there were two people who invested a lot of their resources, a lot of their time, a lot of their money, a lot of the salary, a lot of their life cycle, a lot of whatever they had into religious things. They even talked to God, and even God answered them. But in the end, they didn't follow God. And because they didn't follow God, whatever they did, whatever looked as religious as it was insane because they were not connected to God. You can invest a lot in offering, in church life, in a Christian lifestyle, and in religious things without following God. As long as your heart is not with God's heart, whatever you invest is insane. In the end, the two men didn't trust God. Balak trusted God that God could curse. So Balak trusted God for his own sake, for his own agenda. In this way, he trusted. And Balaam also trusted God in one way that God could curse, and even that God can bless. So even Balaam trusted in God, but just for his friend's sake. As long as it is helping my friend, I will try to be near to God. Because my friend wants to give me something. So again, Balaam trusted God for his own sake again. Both had kind of a relationship with God. Both were interacting with God, but both thought they were the center, and God is the one who has to follow their plans when they invest enough. They trusted God not for God's sake, but they trusted God for their own sake. And church, this is actually not trusting in God. If I just trust God when I want to follow my own way, or that I want others that God can, bless their way, this is not actually trusting God. That's actually not a good way. That's actually egoism. And again, we see you can invest a lot in offering, in church life, in a Christian lifestyle, in religious things without following God. As long as your heart is not with God's heart, whatever you invest is insane. But then the question is, what is real trust? Real trust means you have to know. Number one, you have to know. You have to know who God is. And you have to know that God is able. And you have to know that God can bless and curse. And this first step, Balaam and Balak, they were there as well. They trusted that God can bless and God can curse. But real trust means as well, not just I have to know, secondly, I have to believe. You shall not just know who God is, that God is able and what God can do, but you also have to trust, you have to believe it. So far, we are just the same as Balaam and Balak. They trusted God and they believed Him. But a thing which brings in the difference is the questions. Real trust means as well you have to do what God says. You have to follow God with your heart. You shall not just know and believe who God is and what He's able to do, that He can bless and curse. You also have to show it in your deeds, in your behavior, in your action. Balak didn't do this. He said in the end, okay, if you can't curse them, then maybe you can stay neutral. I hired you for curse them, but now you're blessing them all the time. Maybe you can find a common ground. So this is not trusting, believing, and doing what God is saying. And Balaam said, okay, if we can't find a way how God can curse them, then let's find a way without God to curse them. Okay, then let's send your most beautiful women to them, and they can go around them, and then maybe, you find a way through adultery, and then God will hammer them. Is this a good idea? If God is not cursing them, then let's make them curse themselves. So again, we see they trusted and they believed, but they didn't do what God said. And again, it's the same for you and me. It doesn't matter what others say or what others invest, give, or corrupt. It also doesn't matter what you are giving, what you are investing, if you are not connected to God. And even if you're a bit connected to God, what matters is if you trust Him, you believe Him, and you do what He's saying. Because you can invest a lot in offering in church life, in a Christian lifestyle, in a religious thing without following God. As long as your heart is not with God's heart, whatever you invest is insane. If you follow God, it's shown if you know God, believe in God, and do what God says. It is not shown in what you do and what it looks like. It's not shown if it looks very religious or not. If you're here, the first people, the first person or the last. If you invest your tithe or 50% or nothing. It doesn't matter if you pay a part of the praise team, the Sunday school teachers, the ushers, whatever. That's not the point. In the New Testament, James says it this way: what good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? It is not just about if you know God can bless. It's not just about whether you believe God can bless. It is all about whether you do what God says, nonetheless, if it's up to you to decide whether this fits in your agenda or not. Even when it doesn't fit in your agenda, in your plan, this will show if you really trust God, if you do it then. And sometimes it's like this, I have two daughters, 1 year and 4 year old. And imagine they're standing somewhere up there, and I would standing down here. And I would, they're not just bits like this, but maybe a high wall somewhere, 2 meters up somewhere. And I was standing down there, and I would say, do you trust me that I can catch you if you jump? And for sure, my older daughter would say, yes. Mm, I believe you can do it. Mm. I would say, okay, then do it. Jump. They, yeah. I trust you. You can do it. Mm, no problem. No, I can do it. Okay, then jump. Yeah, no, I know you can do it. Mm. Then come and jump. And you see, as long my daughter is not really jumping down, all of us, we know she's not really 100% trusting me. In the same gap year I shared before, there was one girl, she was already a teenager. What she did one day when she was 4 years old, they had a house with, 2 levels, and there was a kind of, an where the stairs were, there was an open space. And she was standing up there. Her dad was down there. He said, Daddy, catch me! And just started jumping, without waiting. This was a bit crazy, but this was trust. It was not like, okay, are you ready or whatever. No, I know my dad can do it. And because of this, he will do it. Of course, we shall not put this into God to say, I can jump down wherever and God will, no. But this girl trusted her daddy. And for us, we are sometimes standing there. We say, yes, God, yeah, I know what you're saying. I know that I shall do it. Yeah. No, I will do it. Uh, I will. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm very sure you can catch me. No problem. No, I really trust you. As long we are not jumping into his hands, as long we are remaining up here, we are not really trusting. Because trusting is knowing, believing, and doing it. And if we really trust, we are ready to jump. If we really trust, we are ready to jump. And this means that we may not get the big blessing. Like it was, Balaam didn't get a big blessing because he didn't follow Balak's thing for the salary in the beginning. And this can be for you as well if you really trust God and God's ways and how He says you shall live your life. Could mean that you don't get the big blessings in earthly things because others want to give you some money if you behave this way or that way. Or maybe you find a way how you can, take some resources from your employer or whatever with you, And if you follow God's way, you shall not do this. You will not do this if you really do it. If you really trust God, you will not do it. And because of this, you will maybe miss some big blessings. Maybe you will not get rich. Maybe you will not influence your friends, and the influence of your friends is maybe, it's getting smaller and smaller. But if your heart is really with God, if you are really based in God, not just on the outside, what we can see on Sundays, not just in giving, not just investing your resources, not just in investing your time, not just in what we know and what we believe, but in what we know and believe and do, since our heart is based in God. And because we surrender all, because of this, we know it is not so important if we are getting rich. It's not so important if we are staying healthy. It's not so important if we have enough. It's not so important if others bless us, if others give something to us, if how others see us. Because of this, we don't have to invest in things because we know who God is, because we believe who God is, and because we do what God says. And because of this, we can realize following God is not about me. and my future and my blessings and my health and my family. Following Jesus, following God full heartedly is about Him and His agenda for me and for others. Following God full heartedly is not about me, it's not about you, it's about Him and what He wants to do in our life and in this world. And because of this, let's hang our hearts on Him. Because of this, let's surrender everything to Him. Because we know you can invest a lot in offering in church and church life and Christian lifestyle and in religious things without following God. As long as my heart, as long as your heart is not with God's heart, whatever we do is insane. And because of this, let's do what we heard in this song before, when we look this short video about the outreach. The lyrics there, they say, I'm giving you my heart and all that is within. I lay it all down for the sake of you, my King. I'm giving you my dreams. I laying down my rights. I'm giving up my pride for the promise of new life. And I surrender all to you. And I'm waiting at this cross, and all the world holds dear. I count it all as loss for the sake of knowing you, the glory of your name, to know the lasting joy and even sharing in your pain. And for this, I surrender. I surrender all to you. Because as long as our heart is not with God's heart, whatever we do is insane. So let's surrender all and follow Him full heartedly. Thank you for listening.